Next 3 Days, which is written and directed by Paul Haggis, which is based on a European thriller which I really liked before called Anything for Her Poor Elle. Story is, there is a man and a woman who are happily married with a child. Suddenly the woman is arrested, accused of murder. Next thing you know, she's in prison and every appeal is failing. The man, realising that his life is effectively at an end, his child's life is not going to work out the way it should have done because their mother is not coming back, suddenly starts to wonder whether it's possible to break someone out of jail if you are an ordinary schmo. And he goes to meet somebody to say, is it possible? In this case, Liam Neeson.
What do you want to know?
How you escaped when no one else could.
No prison in the world is airtight. Each one has a key. You just have to find it. You'll need a passport, a driver's license, and a social security number, and money. You'll need enough to last at least 5-6 years. You run out of money, you run out of friends. But before you do anything, you have to ask yourself if you can do it. And if you can't, don't start, because you'll just get someone killed.
The interesting thing watching this was, when I watched the first film, the original version of it, sometimes you think things just seem more intelligent or plausible if they're in a foreign language with subtitles, and then you see them in English, you go, oh, actually, that's not plausible. And I was wondering whether the prime change was a language change. When I watched the first movie, what I thought I was watching, what I really enjoyed, was a film about somebody, an ordinary person, being put into one of those situations that movies always tell you about, but going, what would this actually be like if you were genuinely ordinary? Is it possible to break out of a prison? Is it possible for just some schmo to find all the stuff you would need to make the underworld connections, to sort the thing out? And the first time I watched it, I was completely gripped. Second time I watched it, I thought, no, this is preposterous. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm nothing like as interested in the characters I ought to be. One of the problems is that the ordinary schmo this time is played by Russell Crowe, who in the past has played ordinary people. There's that fantastic performance in The Insider in which he literally shrinks within his suit and he turns himself into this tiny sort of, really nervous, edgy, creepy kind of character who's very, very, he's not the heroic Russell Crowe. In this, my problem was very much the Arnold Schwarzenegger problem from Total Recall. The problem with Total Recall is they had to cut the whole of the first section down because when you meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, you don't believe for 1 minute he's an ordinary bloke. You go, no, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I believe that he is, in fact, somebody who's been romping around the galaxy fighting space aliens for ages. So when he then goes and has the experience that says, actually, you might not be an ordinary schmo, you might actually be a secret agent, you go, yeah, I know that. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. In the case of this, the first half of the movie in which Russell Crowe is the ordinary schmo, you go, well, yeah, it's Russell Crowe. And when he then starts turning into the person who's a man of action, the man who goes into the underworld, the man who starts finding out what you'd have to do in order to achieve the breakout, somehow the transition is far less convincing. The other thing is that despite the fact that it follows pretty clearly the blueprint of the original film for a lot of it, the action sequences are ramped up in a way that says, we don't just have faith in the script, we don't have faith in the ideas, we have to have more action. Everything seems more protracted, everything seems turned up to 11. And it was really odd. I watched it thinking, considering it's essentially the same film, why is it that I'm unengaged? And in the end, I think it's partly to do with casting, partly I think it's to do with a tonal difference, which is that if you amp everything up that much, the story seems to fall apart. And I'm sure that if I now went back and watched the original, having seen the remake, I might look slightly less kindly upon the original. Remember, when I saw the original first time, I thought, this is like Tell No One. I mean, this is a really, really good, gripping European thriller that I believe the dilemma of this guy who's suddenly faced with having to do something extraordinary and is doing it, and I'm kind of with him. And with the remake, it was like, yeah, okay, it's just another formulaic remake. Despite the fact I like Paul Haggis very much, I think he's a very interesting guy, but this doesn't have anything like the bite it ought to.